Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our Share Admin training. We're here on the Customer Success Management team and are happy to go over the ShareFile setup, best tricks, and tips today. Before we get started, depending on the licensing that you purchased, the tool may be called Content Collaboration, Citrix Files, or even ShareFile. The tool features are all the same, but just to avoid confusion as we're going through the presentation, we will use all three namings. We also have added a reference guide, so as we go through the slide deck today, you'll note that the reference guide is listed as a resource on the control panel here within GoToWebinar. So all the linked material that we go through today, you'll have access to even after the session today. We will also be taking questions throughout the presentation, so as you have questions, please enter them into the questions box also on your GoToWebinar control panel. You'll be able to enter in questions as we go, but we'll wait until the end of the presentation to go through all of the questions then. Feel free to ask for us to deep dive any of the features or even ask a question about a topic that maybe we haven't touched. We'll be more than happy to re-review or deep dive into that feature. For today's session, our presenters are Megan DeKramer, Senior Program Manager of Customer Success, Kruti Karsane, Senior Product Manager of Admin Experience, and our technical guru, Jose Ulico, Customer Success Manager in the Americas. So let's go over the agenda. First, we'll go over account setup, locating the welcome email and sign-in. We'll also go over your personal settings, security features, and also our prerequisite checklist that you'll want before implementing the tool. After, we'll go to features inside the tool, so admin settings and your folder structure. And then we'll go into creating employee users and creating clients. We'll finish up the presentation going over reporting and then also our ShareFile migration tool. Account setup. All right, Jose, ready to go through our account setup?
Hi, Megan. Yes, thank you. So first things first, the admin of the account should be receiving a welcome email, and this is the initial email that ShareFile sends to the account owner or administrator. Depending on the version that you guys have, you should see something like this. But the important thing is that the account administrator should just click on Activate ShareFile in order to activate the account and start using ShareFile. Now, in case that you ever need assistance on activating your account or you misplace the email, you can always refer to the resource available in order to get assistance. For the login page, what you should know is that all you have to do will be to enter just your email address and the password that you set up once you activated your account. And in the case that you forgot your password, you can always click on the Forgot Password link, which is down below the Sign In button, which will then allow you to enter the email address that you use for registration, and then you will be receiving the instructions on how to reset your own password for ShareFile there on that email address. Now, personal settings.
Perfect. I'm glad to go through personal settings. So our personal settings, we have 5 different settings. We have Edit Your Profile, which is where you can go and easily change your password. You can update your email address and even update email notifications. We also have Personal Security. So this is where you can update your 2-step verification for your phone or any device, mobile device that you have to provide an extra layer of security. We also have connectors and advanced connectors, where connectors allow you to connect to other additional cloud service tools. Then finally, we have My Apps and Devices. You can lock a user account on any device to prevent this user from accessing the ShareFile data within your account. This is very important for security. So speaking of security, let's then go into security features.
Thanks, Megan. So let's talk a little bit about security. One of the pillars that we continuously build upon with ShareFile is security. We believe that securing data is critical to every business, whether that be a small business or an enterprise. Hence, building security with intention is a responsibility taken seriously by our team. Here are some quick ways that we add a layer of security to our tools. So the first one is, if you're in a specific industry that requires compliance, we have the ability to provide you with a HIPAA, FINRA, or CFPB compliant ShareFile account. The second one is that all of our data centers are SOC 2 compliant and SSAE 16 compliant. Number 3 is we strive to maintain the 3 nines uptime so that your day-to-day business operations do not get interrupted due to lack of availability. 4, we provide storage recovery around the globe. And then 5, we support TLS 1.0, 1.1, and 1.2. These are some encryption protocols and algorithms used by e-commerce services and online banking. In addition, we store your at-rest data with AES 256-bit encryption. As we just reviewed, with growing concerns about data security, particularly in regulated industries such as healthcare and finance, protecting how you communicate and share files with clients isn't something to take lightly. Security can seem almost commoditized these days, expected even, but encryption isn't just for files these days. With ShareFile, you can encrypt the body of an email message and all attachments with one click, right from Microsoft Outlook or any web browser. With this all-in-one encrypted email solution, you can streamline communication and simplify the way you handle your sensitive data or protected data. It's secure file sharing taken to the next level. Here are 2 ways ShareFile makes encrypted email easier. 1, encrypted email within Microsoft Outlook, and then 2, encrypted email from any browser.
Thank you, Kruti. So now let's talk about what are the ways that ShareFile gives to the administrators in order to manage that security. First, we have the option to set the password settings, which will basically allow you as an administrator to set a minimum password length, the quantity of numbers that you will require, and even quantity of special characters that might be required. You can also set up the expiration time in days for the password to work, and then the quantity of previous unique passwords that you will allow on the account. At the bottom, you will have a summary of all of these password policies that you have just applied to the account. So another of the security settings are the login and security settings. We have there the trust domains, two-step verification, and trusted device. The trust domains is basically a simple way to allow requests between your own websites and ShareFile to be enabled. Two-step verification is going to give you the flexibility to set policies for a specific user group to use the two-step verification process and provide an extra layer of security on your account. And trusted device will allow you to have clients avoiding entering many verification codes because it will simply just ask to trust this device. Also, we have the account locked out configuration, which is going to allow you to set your own policy for managing multiple failed login attempts. Terms and conditions, which will allow you to prompt your users to accept ShareFile terms and conditions. And if you want to enable this feature, please reach out to our support team. And we also have the IP restrictions, which will allow you to have control over access to your ShareFile domain. As an example, you can restrict IP address ranges outside of your network. You can blacklist or whitelist a specific IP address to ensure that your ShareFile account is not accessed from any specific IP address. If you want to enable this policy, please contact our support team. SAM and single sign-on. The single sign-on is a feature that we have available here. So in order for you to use your Active Directory credentials or allow your employees to use them in order to log into ShareFile. If you're interested on having this feature, please reach out to our support or consult the resource that we have available.
All right, so let's get to the admin settings first. So in order to go there from your left panel, while you're on the dashboard or anywhere on the ShareFile, just click on Settings and then Admin Settings. Over here, we will have the basic information that the account administration will be able to access. So we have the admin view where you can find all the information regarding the access, the admin information, who's the owner of the account, and how the account is being used, the licenses. We also have the background operations. This is basically a place where you will be able to see all the operations that are on queue. As an example, when you're uploading or downloading something or syncing files. We also have the company account information here. We will have sections to go over the reporting, where you can actually get reports on how the account is being used, notification history, also where you can get more information on notifications there on ShareFile, and edit account branding, where you can actually customize your ShareFile page, login page, and even the emails that are sent through ShareFile. We also have the security option here, where you will be able to get more information on data loss prevention, right? The password requirements, where you will be able to actually set your own parameters. So as an example, you can set the minimum password length, how many numbers the password should contain, and how many special characters as well. At the bottom, you will have a summary on all the policies that you have just applied to your passwords. We also have the login security policy, where you will be able to set trusted domains, two-step verification, and account logged out verification. We also have the option to configure device security, where you will be able to set how the devices will be connected to ShareFile. So these are for advanced administrators to configure how securely do they want to have their users using the device. Finally, we have the edit super users group, and this is to allow some of the employees to have access to all folders account-wide, right? And it is important to note that this membership, it only applies to folders, not to account properties, right? Going forward, we also have the policy section, where you can get the policy management, and you can basically set up policies for group to be managed. So the different groups might have different policies, and you can apply and add people or remove people from those groups. We also have the connector section, where you can actually set up if you want to allow your users to have different connectors there working with their ShareFile account. Storage zones. This is in case that you have multiple storage zones, some managed by Citrix and others that you could manage locally or on premises.
All right, thank you, Jose. So now we'll go into the prerequisites. So when beginning to set up ShareFile, there are prerequisites to implementation. These are key considerations that you'll want to review before you start to set up the tool for your users. Our customer success team has built a prerequisite checklist to guide you through everything that you need to consider in terms of your storage zone, file security, compliance, and user management. So these are all of the technical prerequisites that you'll need to then start setting it up. You'll want to make sure to go through each step in the guide to make sure that you've considered your entire environment, and then you'll be able to go through the implementation guide that is also listed on our Customer Success Center. Once you have implementation, you'll be ready to go through the tool and make sure that all of the settings are correct. That's where we'll take a look at inside the tool. So first we'll go into folder structure. Jose?
Thank you, Megan. So yeah, the folder structure is very important to understand, because in ShareFile, in order for you to add users first, you need to make sure that you have created folders first. This is something that needs to be taken care of prior to start adding users. Now, let's discuss the admin settings. So for the admin settings, we have different other options than the ones that I mentioned. As an example, we have the background operations, which, as we mentioned, are where files are processed, will show their progress. Security, where the DLP will be configured. Policies will be where basically all of the group policies will be created to manage different groups. And the connectors, storage zone setup. All right, for admin advanced preferences, we have email settings, which will allow you to set how often and how the emails for ShareFile shares will be sent to the receivers. Also permissions, where you can set whether or not you will allow clients to share content that has been shared to them. Also, we have file settings, where you can set versioning and other settings that will be available for you regarding files. Enable ShareFile tools, where we'll be able to configure which applications will you allow to have your employees using, and also you will get there the configuration for the Outlook plugin. Folder templates, which will allow you to set a standardized structure of folders that can be used for employees and later be applied to any specific folder. Remote upload forms, which will allow you to embed a link on your website in order to have your clients logging in there and sharing, uploading files directly to you. File drops, which will allow you to put a link on your website so that your clients can click there and select which employee do they want to share a file with, so they can upload a file there, and also the configuration for the Outlook plugin, as I already mentioned. We also have advanced configurations regarding the Outlook plugin, where you will be able to set default configuration for how the employees will use this tool on their computers. You will be able to set on a specific attachment policy, link insertion policy. You will see some link options there that you can set as default, and also you can change how the encrypted email will behave account-wide. Other of the advanced preferences that we have available is the folder templates. That is going to save you some time by standardizing folder structure across the account, meaning that you will be able to create a specific folder structure that can be later be applied to any of the folders that have been created within your organization. This is a great way to standardize client or team folders across the account.
All right, now let's see the advanced preferences. So in order to get there, first I need to go to settings and then admin settings and advanced preferences. All right, under advanced preferences, I will have different options. As an example, email settings, which will allow me to configure how the communications will be sent through ShareFile. So I can send here if I want to send the emails from ShareFile directly, or if I want them to be sent from the user that is sharing the file. Right? I can also configure the SMTP server settings here. You will get the instructions over here by clicking on the link. You could also get the option to notify their users on their own activity, right? So employees or clients will be receiving a notification about the actions that they perform with ShareFile. Upload receipts is basically just to configure an option to allow whoever is uploading something to receive an email confirmation about the file that they uploaded. Here you can configure how often you will be receiving email notifications on ShareFile as an employee. So you can, put a little bit less minutes here as a notification, or you can also configure the default language. You will be also able to add a secondary email address here to use on ShareFile. We also have the permissions option over here. Basically, it's for you to allow clients to share files that you have been sharing with them, right? By default, this is set to no. We also have the folder access list, which is basically an option to allow users that are added to a folder to see who else is added to that folder. By default, this is set to no. File settings is where we can actually work on different settings like the retention policy. So if you want to apply an account-wide policy for retention, this is where you can put it there. By default, this is no. Sorting, if you want to change how the files are sorted out on your folders view, this is the place where you can set this as an account-wide default. Versioning will allow you to either disable or enable the versioning option that ShareFile has, and change how many versions will you allow to have for specific files. Storage quota, if you want to enable the storage quota for users, then this is the default value that you can set. And anything which is exclusive for users that are using the Office 365 licenses, this is just for them to be able to edit online using ShareFile. We also have the Enable ShareFile Tools section, where you will be able to configure how do you want the applications to work with ShareFile. And I'm talking about the applications that ShareFile gives you. So we have the desktop apps, for example, and we also have here the Outlook plugin. So on the Outlook plugin, if you go there, you will be able to set default policies that will be mandatory for your employees to follow. So you can even prevent user changes, meaning that they won't be able to change those defaulted settings that you have applied account-wide. We also have the folder template section, where you will be able to create a folder structure that can later be applied to any of the folders that have been created under your account, therefore saving some time by just taking over an existing folder structure and applying it. We also have the remote upload forms, which is basically going to allow you to create an HTML code that is going to be able to be placed on your website, where your clients should be able to go there and just upload a file while also filling out a form that could be customized by you. We also have the file drops, which is basically going to allow you to put a link on your website that is going to make it possible for your clients to upload a file and select to which of your employees that file should go to. And this file will go directly to that specific file box for that specific employee that they selected.
Great, thank you, Jose. So now let's go into licensing and managing employees and client users.
Thank you, Megan. So first things first will be creating employees. Now, in order to create employees, there are 3 basic steps that you need to follow. The first one will be to add the user information, and then basically make sure that this person email address is correctly spelled, because they will be receiving a welcome email to activate their own account. Now, the step 2 will be the user settings. User settings is where the administrator or the person that is creating this employee will have to set which accesses does this person have or will this employee have in their account. We recommend to set default values in case that you have doubts. Okay, and step 3 will be basically to set up the folder accesses. At this point, we will be able to either assign this specific employee or user to a folder. We will be able to add them to a distribution group, or we will be able to also copy access from an existing user in order to clone those access to this specific employee. Share file will allow you to have different ways to control who is accessing this content. So regarding that, we have to make a distinction on the ways that you can manage the account. We have master admins, which will be users that have been granted the access that allow them to manage other users and some account-wide settings. We also have the super users, which is a group that has access to all the other users' content. The membership to this super users group does not grant account-wide admin policies. This is only affecting folder-wise. We also have the distribution groups, which is an easy way to manage groups that to give them access to specific files and folders instead of managing them individually. It also works when you want to send out a specific file or request a specific file to multiple users instead of individuals. So creating clients, you will be able to create clients in order to add them as users, client users on your ShareFile account, and then you will be able to allow them in any folder with a specific access that you might be set later. A client will not consume a license, as you can add as many as you want to. The only ones that will consume a license will be employee type users. You can create as many clients as needed, as I already mentioned. And also, you can add clients to your folders and manage their folder and access activity later on. Clients will only be able to see share folders that have been assigned to them. Those are folders that they have been granted permissions. And they will be only able to adjust their login details as part of the only configuration options that they have available. Clients will not be able to create any personal folders or to work anyhow within the account administration options.
Okay, excellent. Now let's add an employee to this account. So the first thing that I will need to do will be to click on People and then Manage Users Home. Over here, I will have the option to create an employee. Now, let's remember, every time that you create an employee, it's going to take one of your licenses. All right. The first thing that I will have to do will be to enter that person's information. All right. Once I'm done with that, I should be able to proceed with step 2, which is providing the user with the access that they need. So for employees, We strongly recommend to leave the default settings if you don't know what you're doing. But to give you a brief overview, you will be able to basically give them the rights to change their password, access their personal settings. They will be able to create root level folders in the share folder section. So this is important. If you don't want them to do this, just remove this option, which is given by default. They will have a personal file box, and we strongly recommend not to remove this one, right? Because it could affect other functions on ShareFile. You can see that down below, I will have the option to give them the way to manage clients, which is set by default, but also manage employees, which is recommended for people that will be taking administrative roles or other employees. They will be able to edit the shared address book as well by default, and you can even give them the access to change the account appearance, access reporting, and also get the billing information as well. They will be able also to be set with the option to create and manage their own connectors, SharePort connectors and network share connectors if you want them to have that option. And on the advanced preferences here, they will be able to manage folder templates and remote upload forms. For this demo, I would leave it with default options. On step 3, you will notice that now here is where I can actually assign this person to a specific folder, add this employee to a distribution group, or if I want to give this employee the access, exact same access from another user, right? So you will basically be cloning access from a reference user. So let me just assign a folder to this employee. And then what I'll need to do will be to set what kind of permissions do I want this employee to have on that specific folder. So by default, every user that you add to a folder will have view, download, and upload access to that folder. So if you want to give them this access is okay, or if you want to give them further access, you can, just give them the delete so they can delete items from there, or the alerts if you want this user to be notified whenever something is uploaded or downloaded. To be able to have the download alerts, they must be admins. So if that's what I wanted to do, I just going to set that up. Click on done, and you see that now it says create and continue, which I'm going to click on. And right now I will have pretty much a preview on the message that this employee is about to receive, right? All I have to do will be to modify the message as I want it. And when I'm ready, I'm just going to click on notify, and this will send an email to my employee. Now, let's create a client user so you see how it works. So I can either click on browse clients and click on create client, or I can go back on manage users home and create it from there, right? So, okay, this time I will be creating a client user. So you will notice that step 1 is pretty much the same thing, right? You will have to enter that person's information. And you're going to notice that on step 2, there's a huge difference, because for a client type user, I'm only able to change whether or not do I want them to have the ability to change their own password and access their personal settings. So these are the only 2 options that you can set for a client type user, right? At step 3, I can basically have them assigned to a folder as I did with an employee type user. I can add them to a distribution group, right? Or I can just clone the access from one of the other users that I have. So as an example, if I was creating a new client from a company that I've been working on, and I want to clone the access for another client user from the same company that I already have on my account, I should be able to do that by selecting that option. So for this demo, I'm just going to create this user without signing into a folder, to a distribution group, or without cloning any type of access, right? I'm just going to continue anyway. And you're going to notice that this is a preview on the message that this client should be receiving, letting them know that they have been added to a ShareFile account. So I'm just going to notify, and there you go. The invitation has been sent.
Great, Jose. Now let's go into reporting.
Okay, for reporting, we just need to take in consideration the different kind of reports that ShareFile will allow you to get. So these are either ad hoc reports or recurring reports. The reports will be based on different characteristics that you might want to get info about. So as an example, you will be able to get reports on usage, access, or storage details, right? The reports will be generated in Excel format or CSV files, and you can set them out accordingly. The ShareFile data migration tool is a very useful tool that we have available, and it's basically going to allow you to move files from an on-premise location to your ShareFile account in the cloud. So basically, you will be able to select what data do you want to migrate from a local computer into the cloud, right? This works as for when you want to move big chunks of data, and also when you want to have a little bit more control of what kind of data is being migrated. As an example, you're going to notice that you will be able to transfer data plus permissions, and regarding the permissions, they can be mapped to either personal folders or shared folders. You will find more information on the how-to guide that is available on the resources.
Great, thank you, Jose. So now that we've come to this portion of our webinar, we would like to open up to any questions that may have come into the chat or any questions that you currently have. So please just enter your questions into the control panel on the right side of your screen. We're happy to go over any of the features again. We can deep dive into any specific features that you have questions on. We're ready to get started. So enter your questions.
All right, well, thank you so much for attending this webinar. Right now we are entering the Q&A part of the webinar. So this session is just for section is just for you to ask any questions that you may have regarding ShareFile, specifically, well, regarding admin options, right? Let's see, we do have one question at the moment, right? So the question is, what's the difference between a folder administrator and account administrator? Okay, so to answer that question, let me just show you here on my screen. When we talk about admin rights on ShareFile, we need to understand that there are two different, well, let's call it two different options, right? So we have the account-wide settings. So an administrator will be a person, an employee type user that is granted some options. Let me just show you here some of the options that are available, right? So I'm gonna browse an employee, and I'm gonna, just use my Pierre Michael here just to show you. So an account administrator will have different options. Here under user access, you will see that at this moment Michael Worker has pretty much all of the access available. So an account admin will have different options. As an example, this one, access company account permissions. With this main access, the person will be able to grant himself more access. And also if you are in the process of moving from the previous licensing model to the new cloud-based model, then you will require to have this permission to set up your account on the cloud, right? To make that link, your ShareFile account to the cloud, right? So, and we also have the admin rights on folders, right? So in order to show you that, what I will do will be to just go any one of my folders here and show you, right? So you see that I have this folder, this folder here, and then now I am able to see this tab which is called people on this folder. Now this is an usual indicator that I have admin rights on this specific folder. If I go and check this tab, you can see that right now it's just showing myself, right? And then that I have already the admin option, meaning that I'm able to manage this folder, any subfolders, right? And also who is in and out and what kind of access do they have, right? You can see that, well, this is happening, of course, because I'm the account owner of this folder, right? If I go to different folders, you will see that I'm still showing up here as a client folder, right? So if I want to add someone else, right, and in this one, you can see that I got Jonathan Solis added. He also was granted admin rights. But as a main administrator, I might be able to just remove those rights from him and then just save it, right? So bottom line, when we talk about admin rights, we have to define whether or not it is regarding admin rights on access to folder files or any of the share file contents, or if we are talking about account-wide admin rights. So one will be to handle files and folders, as I was saying, if you are an admin in a folder or different folders, and then the other will be regarding the account-wide settings or employee permissions, adding like new clients, branding, getting some information like reporting and all of that, right? So that's those are the basic two main difference. Okay, it looks like we don't have any more questions at the moment, right? So if remember, if you have any questions, please do let us know. There's a question option there. If not, just as a friendly reminder, please do let us know what you think about this webinars. We will have a survey coming in there in just a bit. Also, you have some available resources on the handout section, right? So just go there and download the file that will pretty much give you all of the resources that we referenced today. And also remember that we're going to have an end user session this coming Thursday. So if you want to attend this one or you want to let your peers know about it, please do so. It's going to be at the same time. So there are no questions. Thank you very much. I hope that you all enjoy a wonderful day there. I'm just going to leave this open for a couple more minutes so that you get the chance to download the handouts, right? Remember, the handouts is on the handout section, and it will be a document there for you to download. Thank you very much, and I hope that you enjoy a wonderful day.